when I got on the scale the day after the Elizabeth Hurley picture, I didn't like where I was. So I wanted to make changes. And you're absolutely right to say, I had Rangan Chatterjee on the podcast as well. And he said, he's done a whole book, Lose Weight, Feel Great. And I said, I mean, well done with that. That's quite brave.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got the most compassionate approach. And it's about lifestyle changes, and it's about finding, it's a really, really compassionate approach. And I just think about the future now that we're having conversations like this. And I think about all the times I've been to a personal fitness trainer, and in my job, I've been to some of the best in the world and had PT sessions. And no one's ever said, like, what's your relationship with food? How does food make you feel? It's just been, what do you eat? When do you eat it? And how do you work out? That's literally been the thing. And I look forward to the future when people will be asked, instead of being put on a fitness regime with a goal weight or a goal body fat percentage, they'll begin to investigate what they're doing with food, maybe.
Well, I mean, we're at Seed, we're one of our volunteers is Hannah Lewin, and she has done a lot of like work as a journalist as well in the past, but obviously she's now a PT, and she's a volunteer for Seed and is an amazing, amazing woman. And we've been talking about working on a project just like that. You know, I wouldn't say like it's a, am I allowed to say, of course I am, Joe Wicks, you know, it's not, but it's that kind of thing, but it's looking at future-proofing the body and the non-scale wins of looking at the whole picture, you know, and actually working with people who have disordered eating in a very safe and medically, you know, clarified way, but that connection of the bigger picture. Because I don't know about you, Emma, like we're panicking about saying certain things and it's going to be on social media, but the amount of bloody things that I see on social media where it's all about, you know, what did you have last night and how much can you do to burn off what you had last night, and like this is what's in that food and this is what's in that food. Not about taste, not about what it is for the body and the brain and the mind, not about like if you eat this certain food that might be something that doesn't make you feel good, like you've spoken about before, you know, where you addressed you said in your Red interview, and we'll put the links in the podcast, because it was brilliant and eye-opening for me about how, you know, you started to acknowledge that there were certain foods that didn't work for you, and then all of a sudden you started to really care about what went inside you, and by caring that meant you did eat certain types of food, so therefore you were actually taking control of what made you feel good. And like, that's amazing. So, you know, we've got to have both sides of the conversation, like you say.
It's like before, I've always exercised, and I would always say that I have tried to eat healthily. It's just that you can eat chicken and salad, but if you're eating enough chicken and salad for 3 people, then calories in, calories out, whether you like it or not. And so I've always exercised, and I've always eaten what I thought was perceived to be healthy, although don't get me wrong, I'd love to treat. But so I've always eaten too much. And the most wonderful thing now is, now that I've understood portion control, is working out and seeing and feeling the results.
Yeah.
And I even said to you the other day, this is how I feel at 43. If I'd known all of this at 23, I would have been unstoppable.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, but look what you've done, bloody hell! You'd be prime minister or something.
but it is. It's very hard to look back, knowing that the whole time, when I look back at my entire life, I can think about every single situation I've been in.
Yeah.
And I can think about how my weight and how I felt about my weight affected me at that time, and how it sabotaged that interaction. So I had a massive chip on my shoulder. I was the beauty editor of OK magazine, and I felt like the first thing people were going to say when they met me was, "This fat bitch is the beauty editor for OK magazine, seriously?" So I would walk in and be like, "Take me seriously." And I wouldn't be fun, because who wants to be the fat fun girl?
Yeah.
So it really affected my emotional and social transactions in such a ridiculous way. And that
perceptions, actually, and this is kind of it, really. Sorry, just saying, it's interesting to sort of hear about what other people thought of you and how you reacted.
Yeah, totally. Just absolutely didn't want any, I don't know. I definitely had a chip on my shoulder. I was definitely stiff and not as warm as I could have been. I didn't want anyone I thought that by being overweight, that I was going to get, I don't know, taken for a ride, or people weren't going to take me seriously. So I sort of forced people to take me seriously by being sort of, over the top.
And do you think that, like, did the realization that you were being like that come like around the breast reduction time, or do you think that that journey started before, or do you really think that it was that moment of realizing that you'd gone through all of this, you'd saved all this money, you'd gone through all this pain, expecting this result, and then it didn't come, and then that was when you started to go, okay, this is where I need to start reassessing? Because this is really recent, Em.
Yeah. I don't think the breast reduction surgery was 2 years in July. I don't think I would have actually come to the realization I've come to had I not had the breast reduction surgery. And truthfully, it's because of the expense. Like, it was not, it was, I had a health scan just before, and I thought, if all of this is all right, I'm going to do the thing I want to do, and I'm going to have that breast reduction surgery. And it was a massive investment for me.
Yeah.
And so it was no joke. And so sort of to come out the other end and not get my money's worth, it's almost like the very frugal, it was like, right, you're going to get your money's worth out of this. And I also just thought, I was 41 and I thought, I don't want to be doing this at 50. I remember having a conversation with myself in the mirror at 16 saying, leaving the fifth form in the summer and thinking, you're not going to be a fat sixth former. I just thought, really? Is this the thing in your whole life that you're not going to be able to figure out? Are you that stupid that you're not going to be able to figure out how to do what millions of people do without even thinking? I was just like, that's how I really got to the precipice. And I knew, and this is again why I have this complex relationship with body positivity and body acceptance. I knew it wasn't how it was supposed to be. I knew that I was doing things that were unhelpful, not that I shouldn't be doing, but I knew I was doing things every single day that was keeping me from being happy.
Yeah. But the thing is, like you say, it's not, like you said, there's a big, I want to say bandwagon about body positivity and all of that. But like you say, if I go and drink like 2 bottles of wine one night and I feel horrendous the next day and can't do anything, like I don't want people saying, yeah, but it was just a one-off. You've got to live your life, live a little, and do what you need to do and do what you want. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, you actually want someone to go, well, if you are doing that, then that's not great. And it would be the same if you were like, oh, yeah, go and eat X, Y, and Z and don't worry about it, you're fine. Well, there's proof around the fact that you've got to have everything in moderation and try and have nutritious things. And yes, I hate good or bad foods, but there are different elements to different foods that have different impacts on our body.
Absolutely. And I think the worst thing that could have happened to me 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when I was getting up to my heaviest, and I don't want to say weights because I know that's incredibly unhelpful, but I have a sort of a weight that I used to creep up to, and I was there again, and I've been there for a while actually. And I think the most unhelpful thing that could have happened to me is for me to embrace body acceptance and say, I'm going to love it anyway, because it was happening because of self-sabotage and what I now recognize as being disordered eating, and it's a mental illness. So I think it's incredibly dangerous to validate a mental illness in that way.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm really glad that I was tough on myself, and in many ways I'm really glad that I was brought up in that time where you were told to eat less, and because actually I know I feel better than I did 2 years ago. And I know, and please don't think for a second I'm sitting here and I'm some health freak and I'm always working out and I'm always eating right. I really am not. It's not that. I feel, and I check in with myself a lot. So I used to really think if I can exercise 7 days a week, then that's a great week. And if I didn't, I'd beat myself up. And now I will get up in the morning and I'll have that urge, that thing of like, I'm going to work out today, because if I don't, something bad will happen, meaning I'll gain all the weight again. And I'll say to myself, no, you don't have to work out today if you're tired. You understand the value of what you put in your body. You also know that you don't have to exercise in order to maintain the weight that you are now.
Yeah.
So just chill out, go and watch Good Morning Britain with
Yeah,
a cup of coffee, and don't make a big deal out of it.
yeah.
Don't let it consume your thoughts.
That's an amazing place to get to, like a really amazing, and it must feel quite like liberating as well. I mean, I've been from one spectrum of the scale, and you've been from the other. Yet I know that feeling, like when you, because I used to be addicted to exercise, and then when you go, no, today I'm not going to, because I'm going to choose when I want to. And actually, I didn't sleep very well last night. I've got a manic day, and actually I'd rather spend half an hour playing with my dog, or watching an episode of something. So I think that's really liberating, and it's freeing, and I guess it gets away from being that prisoner in your own mind. But I think only by talking about it and this is what makes me really sad about the whole government narrative around obesity. It's just,
it's using a blunt instrument to deal with the needs a much more finessed approach. But I remember my friend Katie saying to me a few years ago, because I have been that person who in every social group, like if I've gone on holiday with people, I've been the one who's like, I need the beach towel to wrap around me. I was a downer to other people because of how I'd be the person who'd say, do I look fat? Like all of that. So God, what a boring person to be around. But I remember my friend Katie saying, well, no, because I don't want to bring people down. But when I think back, if you're saying those things to people, how on earth are you not putting them in an position?
the
Yeah.
obsessiveness of it.
And my friend Katie a few years ago said to me, just relax. And I just wanted to punch her in the face, because I was like, I don't know how to be relaxed around food. I don't know how to be relaxed about exercise. I'm not where I want to be. So I feel like I have to throw everything at it. So I've been that person who's responded to all the ads on TV to join weight clubs, and I've responded to everything. I've bought every bit of weight loss nonsense that you can imagine, an exercise fad. But that's the thing that has really taken me by surprise, is just I read the book Brain Over Binge, and that really helped me see my relationship with food from a distance, and understand I had autonomy and I had agency in this situation. I could make changes, which I felt helpless to make before, but that book really helped me understand that I wasn't helpless.
Yeah.
Actually, that's how I think I know that I'm doing okay, because it's the freedom. It feels as though I've been taken out of a straitjacket, or that a weight's been taken off me that I didn't realize I was carrying, metaphorically as well as physically. It just does it. There's a valve that's been released, and it's incredibly, it just feels like, but you don't realize that you're under that pressure, or you're feeling that until you get to this place. And I just want as many people as possible. And what I find so toxic about this particular type of eating disorder or disordered eating is that it can be so easily dismissed as being a bit greedy. If you walk down the street, there are probably, I don't know, like even if you look on television, you can think of, oh, she's carrying a bit of extra weight, or she's carrying a bit of extra weight. Like you can look at people who are a bit bigger than your average person on TV. And that doesn't mean we have to point at them and start saying, you've got a mental illness. But it does make me think, it just does make me think what's going on in people's minds. And it's that thing, isn't it? It's that somebody who maybe goes to their doctor and is in the overweight category on the BMI scale. And I know that's really troublesome, but let's just use it because it is the one that's the metric when you go to the doctors. They might be encouraged to go on a diet or what have you, but who's to say that? I mean, that was me pretty much. And there were some massive issues going on, mental issues. And I didn't need to go to Weight Watchers again. I needed to be encouraged to ask myself the really tough questions. And in the end, I did it, because I spent a ton of money and I was livid. I didn't feel as good as I did. And I thought, right, we're going to get to the bottom of this, lassie. And nobody wants to sit in front of the mirror and say, right, you're unhappy, and guess what? It's because of what you do every single day. That's really confronting. it's really uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
But it's just knowing. And if I could go back and tell that woman on that day, I say, but you can do it. Like, you've got all the answers. You absolutely have it. You
Yeah.
just have to sort of stop looking over there and just look over there a little bit, and it'll all become really clear. Like, it's all within you.
Yeah.
You don't need a diet or a workout or anything to help you with this. You know.
Yeah.
But it's just helping people access that information that's so challenging.
I love the analogy of like the valve and the like, that's really, never thought of it like that. And I think it, like, again, like with the it's not a quick fix, is it? You know, it's like just sort of a little bit and just, you know, but it actually, in the end, ultimately, even though it's hard work sometimes, it does feel amazing. What would you give advice in terms to anybody at the moment who, you know, is going through binge eating or disordered eating? Like, is there any, and I know it's a very difficult one, but maybe just sort of what you would say to yourself back then, it might be the message that some people need to hear at the moment.
Do you know, when I thought about this, actually, because it's one of the things that we talked about the other day, I think there are going to be so many people who maybe don't know that their normal isn't normal, because I didn't until I read that book. And I guess that was part of the valve releasing. It was like, oh, someone else is in this mental prison as well, and they're out the other side. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And so I would just, if someone's already listening to this podcast, then they are already in that headspace where they've kind of figured out that something's not as it maybe should be, and maybe they need to address it. So more power to you for making that step. I'm really proud of you. But it's the people who are just living their life, going to the supermarket and getting a bit of a sweat on when they go past the bread aisle because they're worried about what people might think if they pick up the brioche buns for the hamburgers that they're making later, because they don't want to be judged. It's those people, because it's those sorts of things. I remember I used to go to the supermarket and feel like everyone was watching me or seeing what I was putting in my basket. And I've also read letters from listeners who've said they'll go to the supermarket, put things in the basket, and then put something else in that they don't need, that makes it look like they're feeding 2 people or 3 people. And I've done that with the sushi place across the road, where they've said, would you like miso soup? And they've handed me 2 cups. And I thought, oh gosh, I've ordered enough for 2 people, but it's good sushi.
Yeah.
So it's those people, I think. But there's also this fine line of, well, do you just start telling everybody that they've got a poor relationship with food? So I think we need to go back even further.
Mm-hmm.
And at school, or when when kids are kids, just help them understand the nutritional benefits of food and how you feel.
Yeah.
And I know that's a really intense conversation to have right now, given everything that's gone on with free school meals and whatnot. But I do think it's potentially a lack of education.
Well, we agree, Sid. And I'm kind of, you know, to wrap up, I'm kind of like glad you've ended on that note, because obviously we've got our eating disorder educational toolkit, which, you know, we are trying to roll out into schools at the moment, and it's getting out there, and it's amazing to see, because education, like you say, Emma, is so key. And education around what nutrition is, about why we need food and how it feeds the body. You know, we've got our free resource at the moment that, you know, schools and teachers can download. And we've also got our cook along with MasterChef winner Jane Devonshire. So tune in for that. But it's that basis, Emma, that Jane and I, like you, are really passionate about, trying to get people back in the kitchen with the good nutritious food that's affordable, you know, that is easily accessible for everybody, and just try and sort of reconnect with like the dots again.
Yeah. I grew up being excited about McDonald's. That was the food I was excited about.
Yeah.
And never really made the link. And like I said, now I was cooking something the other day and I was so excited, and I was eating it. And I was thinking, who would have thought 5 years ago that I'd be saying, oh, adding kale to that vegetable curry really made a difference. But I was obsessed with it.
It's really funny, guy. It's so true. I got some rainbow char the other day, and I was like, Look at me. Don't know what to do with it at the moment, but I can Google and find out. But it's exciting.
It's a tricky one, Chard.
I don't know what I was doing. God knows what I was doing. But it is exciting. Like, you know, I'm 37 next, and I'm just finally getting my SH together, you know, but I'm still not going to have it together fully for a long time. And like you say, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like, you look amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it doesn't matter. Like, and I don't want to stop learning them.
No, same. And I also think it would be a mistake, and I'd be doing your listeners a disservice if I said, like, once you hit recovery, and I'm sure you can testify to this as well.
Yeah.
It's not something that you have to think about. It's just that your thought process is different. So every day there might be a check-in with, oh, why do I feel like this today? Or, and you still have that conversation. You just have a set of different answers when it comes to overeating, where the answer isn't in the kitchen.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much.
No, it's been a delight.
Like, ever. Thank you so much for being such an open and honest guest. And just keep doing the amazing work that you're doing, and get following Emma at Emma Guns on her socials. Just for some really inspiring posts. Some, you know, you talk the talk, and it's amazing to see. And I think the more we can keep talking it, hopefully, like you say, wouldn't the dream be that ongoing, you know, things start to change for the good.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time.
And thank you. It's been such a pleasure to chat. It really has.
We really appreciate it. And I'll be tuning into all of your podcasts as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, darling.